Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive.
Yeah.
And today we're going to be looking at a video from Imran Ibn Mansur.
Okay.
And he makes this really bold claim that there's this hadith that has the potential to double Muslim millionaires.
Interesting.
So to help us understand this hadith and all the implications of it, we have an expert on all things Islam.
Excited to be here.
Okay, so before we jump in, can you remind us, for maybe those who are new to the show or, are new to Islam, what is a hadith?
Sure. So a hadith is basically like a report or a narration of the sayings or actions or approvals of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him.
Okay. And so there's this particular hadith that Imran brings up in the video.
Yeah.
And what does this hadith say?
So this hadith is actually like a really profound hadith, even though it's very short. And basically it explains the purpose of wealth. And the purpose of wealth is for two things.
Okay.
To establish salah.
Which is prayer.
Which is prayer.
Okay, so it's about being able to have enough wealth so that you can, take time to pray.
Right. So many people, they think that, Islam is just about like praying 5 times a day, like it's just about rituals. But actually, the Sharia, the Islamic law, it really emphasizes the importance of having a strong economic foundation because you can't really pray if you're worried about, putting food on the table, if you're worried about, how you're going to pay your rent.
Right.
So this hadith is acknowledging that, like, you need wealth, you need resources in order to actually fulfill your religious obligations.
So things like building a mosque or funding Islamic schools or, anything that would help the Muslim community.
Absolutely. And not just those things, but also even things like, providing for your family, taking care of your parents. All of these things are considered acts of worship in Islam, and they require resources.
Okay, so that's the first purpose of wealth.
The second purpose of wealth is to give zakat.
Okay, so zakat is like one of the 5 pillars of Islam. It's charity.
Yes, it's often translated as charity, but it's really more than just charity. It's like a purification of your wealth. And it's also a way of investing in the community.
So what kind of advice does he give?
Well, one of the things he emphasizes is the importance of having a strong why.
Okay.
So he says that Muslim entrepreneurs should be clear about why they're in business and how their business can contribute to the betterment of the Muslim community.
So not just about making money for themselves.
Right. It's not just about profit. It's about using your business as a platform to make a positive impact in the world.
Now that's an idea I can get behind. Now, speaking of Imran, he's actually built quite a successful business himself, right?
He has. He's a very successful entrepreneur, and he's very open about the fact that he's made a lot of money.
Okay, but he seems to be trying to use that wealth for good.
Yeah, he's very much about giving back to the community and using his wealth to support Islamic causes.
And he's even created like a whole mastermind retreat for Muslim entrepreneurs, right?
Yeah, he has this mastermind retreat for 7- and 8-figure Muslim entrepreneurs. And it's basically a place where they can come together and network.
Yeah.
And learn from each other and support each other in their businesses.
And are they also talking about like how to apply these Islamic principles to their businesses?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a big part of it, is how to align your business with your Islamic values.
That's really cool. I like that a lot. Okay, so we've got this thought-provoking hadith. We've got Imran connecting it to historical examples of economic strategy in early Islam. And then we've got Imran himself, who's, walking the walk and building these resources for the Muslim community. But is he the first to make this connection between wealth and Islam?
No, not at all, in fact. This is an idea that has been around for centuries.
Okay, so is it something that's been talked about by Islamic scholars throughout history?
Yeah, absolutely. There have been many Islamic scholars who have talked about the importance of using wealth for the benefit of the community.
Like who?
So, for example, there's a scholar named Abdullah ibn Mubarak who lived in the 8th century, and he was a very wealthy man. But he was also known for his piety and his generosity.
So is he like giving away all of his wealth?
He was giving away a lot of his wealth. He was known for supporting scholars and students of knowledge, and he was also known for helping the poor and the needy.
And he was doing this while still maintaining his business.
Yeah, he was a successful businessman, and he saw his business as a way to generate wealth that he could then use to benefit the community.
Okay, so he was kind of like a prototype for the modern Muslim entrepreneur that Imran's talking about.
Exactly, and there are many other examples of Islamic scholars who have had a similar approach to wealth.
So it's not just about making money. It's about making money and then using that money for a higher purpose.
Exactly. And that higher purpose can be anything, from supporting your family to building a mosque, to helping the poor, to spreading Islamic knowledge.
So there's a lot of different ways that Muslim entrepreneurs today can apply this idea.
Absolutely. And I think that's one of the things that makes this topic so exciting, is that there's so much potential for creativity and innovation.
Yeah. I mean, I'm already feeling inspired just thinking about all the different ways that this could be applied.
And I think for a lot of Muslim entrepreneurs, this is like a really empowering message.
Yeah.
Because it's telling them that they can be successful in business and still be true to their Islamic values.
You know, this has been an amazing overview of this hadith and, you know, Imran's take on it.
Yeah.
And all of its implications. But I think what I'm really curious about is how can modern Muslim entrepreneurs actually apply these ideas in their businesses?
Yeah, that's a great question. And that's something that we'll definitely explore in more detail in the next part of this deep dive.
Oh, perfect. Because I'm really curious to hear, like, what are some of the challenges that Muslim entrepreneurs face? And how can they overcome those challenges? And how can they actually use their businesses to make a positive impact in the world?
Yeah, those are all really important questions. And I'm excited to dive into them with you.
Okay. Well, then let's take a quick break, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Sounds good.
Okay, so we're back. And I think where I want to pick up is, you know, we've been talking about how wealth can be used for this higher purpose within Islam. But, like, what are some practical examples of that?
Yeah, so one practical example is actually supporting Islamic institutions. So things like mosques, Islamic schools, Islamic charities. These are all institutions that play a vital role in the Muslim community. And they need funding to operate.
Yeah.
So by supporting these institutions, Muslim entrepreneurs are actually helping to strengthen the Muslim community.
And are there other, maybe less obvious ways that Muslim entrepreneurs could be using their wealth?
Yeah, absolutely. So another way is by investing in Muslim-owned businesses.
Okay.
So this is a way of supporting the Muslim economy and creating jobs for Muslims.
And I guess also circulating that wealth within the community.
Exactly, yeah. Keeping the money within the Muslim community.
And are there ways beyond just, like, finances and money that entrepreneurs could be using their resources?
Yeah, absolutely. So Muslim entrepreneurs, they can also use their time and their skills to mentor other Muslim entrepreneurs. So for example, if you're a successful business owner, you could mentor a young Muslim who's just starting out. And you could share your knowledge and your experience with them and help them to succeed.
And that would also help to build up the Muslim community.
Exactly. It's about empowering other Muslims and helping them to achieve their full potential.
And I imagine there are certain unique challenges that Muslim entrepreneurs face. What are some of those?
Yeah, so one of the biggest challenges is dealing with Islamophobia. So unfortunately, there's a lot of prejudice and discrimination against Muslims in the world today.
And I imagine that can make it difficult to do business.
Yeah, it can definitely make it difficult to get funding, to find customers, to even just be taken seriously. So Muslim entrepreneurs, they have to be really resilient and they have to be really creative in order to overcome these challenges.
And how would they do that?
Well, one way is by building strong networks and relationships. So by connecting with other Muslim entrepreneurs and with allies in the wider community, they can create a support system for themselves.
Okay, so like finding their people.
Exactly. Finding your tribe.
And then I imagine another challenge is just like the general challenges of being an entrepreneur.
Yeah, absolutely. Being an entrepreneur is hard. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of stress. And it's a lot of risk. And so Muslim entrepreneurs, they face all of those same challenges.
And I imagine on top of that, like trying to run a business in a way that aligns with Islamic values is an added challenge.
Yeah, absolutely. So for example, Muslim entrepreneurs, they have to be very careful about the types of businesses that they get involved in. So for example, they wouldn't want to get involved in a business that sells alcohol or pork or that's involved in gambling or any other activity that's considered haram or forbidden in Islam. So they have to be very mindful of those things.
And it sounds like maybe there needs to be a balance too between, you know, like financial success, but also like not losing sight of your spiritual goals.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about balance. It's about finding that sweet spot where you can be successful in business, but also live a fulfilling and meaningful life.
Right. And it sounds like the Muslim community can be a real asset in helping entrepreneurs find that balance.
Yeah, absolutely. The Muslim community can provide a lot of support for entrepreneurs. So, for example, there are Muslim business associations that can provide networking opportunities and mentorship.
Okay.
And there are also mosques and Islamic centers that offer financial advice and other resources for entrepreneurs.
You know, that reminds me of this article I read about this Muslim entrepreneur who was really struggling to balance his business with his faith. And he was feeling really lost. And then he ended up connecting with his local mosque. And they were able to provide him with some guidance and support. And he was able to turn his business around.
That's awesome. I love to hear stories like that.
And not only turn his business around, but also like reconnect with his faith in a really meaningful way.
Right. That's what it's all about.
Okay, so it sounds like there are definitely challenges, but there are also a lot of resources and support available for Muslim entrepreneurs.
Exactly. And I think more and more Muslim entrepreneurs are realizing that they don't have to choose between their faith and their business. They can actually integrate the two and use their business as a way to live out their faith.
I think this is such an important conversation to have because I think sometimes there's this perception that, you know, business and religion are kind of at odds with each other. But what we're seeing here is that they can actually be really complementary.
Absolutely. And I think when you can align your business with your values, it makes it so much more fulfilling and meaningful.
Okay. And so I guess that leads to the question of Imran's claim that this hadith could double Muslim millionaires. Do you think it's possible?
I mean, I don't have a crystal ball, but I do think that there's a lot of potential for Muslim entrepreneurs to be successful. And I think one of the reasons why is because Muslims have a very strong work ethic. And they're also very entrepreneurial.
And they're also driven by this higher purpose.
Exactly. So they're not just in it for the money, they're in it to make a difference in the world.
Right.
And I think that's a really powerful combination. And I think that's something that the world needs more of.
I think you're absolutely right. And I think that this idea of using wealth for a higher purpose is something that can resonate with people of all faiths, of no faith.
Absolutely. It's a universal principle. It's about being a good steward of the resources that we've been given.
Okay, so we've talked about the challenges, we talked about the opportunities, we talked about the resources. What do you want our listeners to take away from this conversation?
I think the main takeaway is that wealth is a tool and it can be used for good or for bad. And it's up to us to decide how we're going to use it.
Okay, so I think the question for our listener is, how are you going to use your wealth for good?
Yeah. How are you going to make a difference in the world?
I think that's a great note to end on. Thank you so much for sharing all of this with us.
It's been a pleasure.